Good afternoon, guys. MWUSA Season 2, Episode 238. And this morning, I got a ride early in the morning. I went out to the airport and got on a flight and started heading south. I had one layover, but I was able to get to my destination by about 12 o'clock local time. And I was picked up by a friend of mine. We'll call him Coach. And Coach has been a friend of mine. We met through the podcast, and we actually hung out in Vegas before. A real good guy, and he knows a lot more about this stuff than me. He's been doing this a lot longer than I have, so definitely a lot of respect for him. He picked me up from the airport, and we actually met down in the area where you pick up your luggage, the baggage claim. And the whole goal was he's going to guide me around and show me around, and then he got lost in the baggage claim. So I started to worry that we didn't even get out of the airport yet. But anyway, we went to one casino. It was all these are Native American casinos in this area. And we went to this one casino, and I signed up for a card reluctantly, but Coach told me it would be a good idea to do so. And all I had to do was get 1,000 points, and I would get $150 in free play, a $150 gift card, a $40 gift card, and maybe a free meal or something like that. So, big casino. I set out, for sure I'm going to get 1,000 points. I played everything that I could find, and even some half plays, did everything that I could, and I checked my points, and I had 55 points. So I ended up with $10 in free play, and we had something to eat while we were there. They actually had an IHOP inside the casino. We had that, and we were watching a guy play a slot machine while we were eating, and when he got up, I sat down and played it out, and then we left. So we were there for probably an hour and a half or longer, and I ended up ahead $578 on slots. Now, interestingly enough, I may have seen a hole card possibility there, but the game was an unusual version of Texas Hold'em. We weren't really positive about how to play it. I was getting flashed the card when I was standing behind the table around third base, and then later on, when I brought Coach back to take a look at it with me, we really couldn't see it anymore. I even sat down and couldn't see it. So I don't know if they were being a little liberal with the card before, and then when they saw someone over there, they became more conservative with it and hit it more. So anyway, we started heading out to another casino, which was one of our big targets for this trip. Coach lives in the area here, and we saw a sign for a place that has ice cream. It's like a drive-through. They have burgers and things, and so we had to stop and get some ice cream. So a couple old guys got to make some additions to their bellies, I guess, with some ice cream. So we just stopped by another casino, and Coach is actually here in the car with me, and so we go into this casino. And he's like, "You're going to sign up for a card, right?" And I said, "I don't know. I just signed up for the other card. It didn't work out too well." And we saw this big sign outside, and it's got a hotel, and it must be this huge place. So he said, "I'm going to sign up. You only need to get 5 points, and they give you $10 in free play." He signs up for a card. I go around the corner, and like 40 feet away is the back wall of this place. So we struggled to put 10 points on his card. And he actually ended up ahead like $12 on it. But we're having a good time here. We're heading out to another casino. He lives in the area but doesn't normally take this route. So he's seeing some of these casinos for the first time as well. So I'll let you go for now, and then I'll be back. We'll talk to Coach. All right, guys. I am back. I'm here with Coach, and we are driving to our next casino. Coach, you want to say hi?
Yeah, hello, and I want to thank you, NW, for the flattering introduction, even though it was probably a little bit of hyped up too much, but I'm having a great time with you, and I'm really enjoying this trip so far.
Can you guys tell he's from the South? All right. People think I'm from New York for some reason. I don't know why, but so, Coach, how long have you been doing some kind of advantage play?
I would say probably for roughly 15 years. Initially, my advantage play was in the area of poker. I did a lot of studying and read some books. I read Phil Hellmuth's book, Play Poker Like the Pros, and I really just took off after that as far as poker goes. I didn't get into the slot part of it until about 4 years ago. I was just getting into it right before COVID shut everything down. And then I decided to retire from being a coach, and as a result, I was able to spend a lot more time playing in the local casinos in this state and other states surrounding me, and just kind of took off over the last 3 years, basically around the same time you did, actually.
Yeah, you mentioned you played poker. You also, even now, even today, you played some video poker. Is there a story behind that?
Yeah, well, when I initially started going to casinos 25, 30 years ago, I was pretty well losing all the time, so I started actually studying, and anybody can do that. I mean, you start studying games where you may have a slight mathematical advantage, and if you study the pay tables on the video poker games, you can find some that it's rare to find one that's a positive expectation play anymore, but with points and free play, you can sometimes change it into a positive expectation play, even though the pay tables are not quite as good as they used to be.
Yeah, and then I remember you've shared some information with me in the past. Coach has actually been keeping track of his play for, 15 years or so, and even in the days before he knew what he was doing. Is that right?
I had a friend of mine, a fellow coach, and she said, I was concerned about losing. She says, why don't you start keeping a spreadsheet? And I started a spreadsheet in 2002, and so I've kept track since then of the game, the session, how long it is, what I've been playing, and how I've done for the year and how I've done overall, and so on, just to see where I was at. I was basically a losing player up until 2004, and then once I started developing poker skills, I started getting to the positives at that point.
And then how long have you been doing the slot part of it?
I really was into the slots just towards the end of 2019, so I've been doing that since then, and it's been amazingly much more profitable than I ever dreamed it would be.
And then between the slots and the poker, did you play blackjack?
I have done blackjack. I've gone through the card counting process. I didn't do, whenever I started learning to count cards, the blackjack apprenticeship wasn't in existence at the time, so I just learned off of books, kind of self-taught myself. Unfortunately, the areas where I play the blackjack's not very, very favorable conditions, so I've kind of dropped that over the last few years.
Yeah, although the casino we were just at, we were just joking around how we would probably get kicked out in one hand because the minimum was $5, the maximum was $300, and it was a Stay 17 6 deck. And I had the idea of maybe standing behind the one and only player in the whole casino who was playing blackjack, and then buying in for $600 and doing 2x300, which is table max. And we were trying to figure out if they would call 911 right away or if they would just back me off after one hand. So this place really is a tiny place. Like if you go to a gas station, it's probably half as big as this place. So it was a super tiny place, and I'm sure, although it was positive EV, I think Coach probably would not have signed up for a card. And now he's going to get mailers for this place. How many miles is this place from your house?
This place is probably about 3.5 hours from my house.
So now he's going to be getting mailers for the next year for $5 in free play because he wanted to get that $10, but he did turn that $10 into, how much did we make?
I turned it into $15. Which, after losing the place that you won $600 at, puts me about even for the day.
But then he did actually, we're going to be totally honest, he did find a voucher for $1 on the way out, so he's not really down. He's actually ahead, and he's always downplaying his winnings. So, all right, Coach, tell me, as far as growth, you don't have to give numbers, but maybe like exponential numbers. How have you done in slots in the last 4 years since you started playing slots as a professional full-time?
Well, I can't categorize it individually, but I can give out some numbers. I mean, when I decided to retire, my pension was going to be $40,000 a year, which I was concerned about being able to live on. But my first full year, I won $140,000 at the casinos, and then last year I won $146. This year I'm at $127 as we sit here today. So it's I can say this much: it pretty well doubled what I made as a coach and teacher.
And basically, you've made more than triple what your pension would be or is, and I know you're paying taxes on this stuff. You're an honest guy. So what would you say is the direction that slots and advantage play is going? It seems to me from talking to you before that you seem to think, especially in your area, that things are getting tougher and there's less opportunity than before.
Well, I think there's two things. They're taking out some of the games that have been what I call money makers, and the competition seems to be increasing by each month. And so with those factors, I've already established my goal last year to make it 100K, and I did bypass that, and that was my goal this year. So it has become a lot more difficult. So as a result of some of the machines going away, there's particularly one company that a lot of your bread and butter is made on slot machines, and if that company decides to change some of their thought processes, I can see this going away. But the key to being successful as an advantage player is you find other areas to explore at that point and go on that direction, and switch directions. You got to be able to switch gears, be able to be adaptive to the ever-changing environment in casinos, because they are going to change quite often.
Yeah, and there's actually some hidden plays that people don't know about. I showed you one thing today that you didn't know about a machine where some things float by on the screen and you weren't really sure how to play that. That's something that nobody really checks. But then also, I don't know if you've noticed it or not, and we can talk off the air about this, but a lot of the same companies that make machines you can take advantage of also obviously make fake ones, but now we're seeing ones that look like advantage play machines, and they fit into the criteria. They look like they are, and we saw one today actually in the high limit of this room, and it ended up being a dud. Do you think that maybe they're creating some of these games to throw some people off?
I think it's just the copycat thing is other companies seeing these games being very popular, and they try to go ahead and make clones or parts of those, kind of like any other area, such as movies, where they go on a run with certain themed movies and stuff. So I think it's just some of those other companies are trying to copy what the successful companies have done and some of the brands that they put out.
Yeah, and there's been at least a couple different machines that have recently done updates, and they've lowered how much they're paying out and made it even more difficult for people like us to make money. And lots of times when there's a lot of advantage players in one building, they're playing borderline plays, and then they're playing borderline to borderline plays, and pretty soon a lot of people are playing machines that you can take advantage of, but they're losing money. And in the long run, if you don't really stay tight as a player, you could lose a lot of money in the long run and put yourself out of business.
You got to be disciplined. You got to make sure you don't go to the casino just to gamble. If you do, you could be in a tough situation. And part of the dilemmas of what we're doing is you establish entry points, but you may have several players where their entry points are lower than yours, so you got to decide whether am I going to be able to get any plays at all, am I going to lower my standards per se, or am I going to stick to them and maybe find fewer plays. And if you're trying to create points at a casino, that makes things even more difficult. So sometimes I think we make decisions on whether we play either to A, to make profit, or B, to make points to continue to get other benefits such as free play and free food. And so sometimes you need to establish two different entry points for different games.
Yeah, and really I was trying to think about what the EV was on that offer at the place we were just at, and I figured you had to put in, what do we need? We needed $10.50, so you think it was $10, so we needed $10,000 coin in to get about $350 back, so it was about a 3.5% rebate, and I still couldn't find enough stuff to play. And one thing about Advantage machines is if you play them when they're not in place, they play horribly, so they pay horribly. So another machine might pay 90 or 88%. This machine might pay 40 or 60% because it's not in position, and by you playing it just to get points, if you don't know what you're doing, you could really get wrecked. Yeah, and then I mentioned a couple episodes ago about the lady and her husband who played entry points lower than me, and I gave them a play, and she was glad to take it, and it was far away from what I would have played. So, yeah. Well,
and just an example today, you're in a situation, if you earn a certain number of points, you're going to get a lot of extra initial benefits. We found a $5 must-hit by play, and it was a very borderline play, and it was tough. I mean, we sit there and try to decide whether to play that or not, and that's part of the decision making, you know. And I think you wanted to make sure and book your $600 win and not risk losing that. So I don't blame you. So.
Well, part of it too is if I needed $1,000 coin in or $2,000, I probably would have played it. But if it's $10,000 and I'm going to play a big borderline play like that and still end up losing a bunch of money, then it's definitely not going to be worth it. So we have an exit coming up here in 1.2 miles. I think we missed one already. So we're going to let you guys go for now, and we'll be back to talk to you later. All right, guys, I am back. It is now 10 and a half hours later. Craziness. All right, so after we let you go, we went into another casino, and that one was so tiny, it was smaller than the one we had just left, and we actually were not able to play a single spin at that casino. So we ended up leaving that small town, and there was another casino nearby. We looked it up, and it looked like a gas station when you looked at the Google listing for it. So we ended up skipping that one and moving on to the casino that we were trying to get to in the first place. So when we got to this casino, we checked in, put our stuff in the room, and then went downstairs and started looking at slots. We actually ate, looked at some slots, and I was down about $300 at that point after playing for about 4, maybe 6 hours, 5 hours, somewhere, I'd say 5 hours. And I decided to take a break by playing some poker. I go to the poker room, and there's a 1-3 game going on. So I sit down, a 1-3 game, and here's just a few hands for you. I bought in for $300, and I had a 2-5 offsuit on the button, and it was $3 to call, and the whole table called, so there was like $27 in the pot. And just so you know, when the whole table calls for a minimum, there is no hand that does not qualify. You have to call because anyone can win. It's a bingo game at that point. So I call for $3 with my 2-5 offsuit, and the flop is 5 Jack 5. And the guy bets $20. I call. The turn is a 4, and he, let me see, actually the flop, he checked and I checked because I figured I'm way ahead. The turn is a 4. He makes it 20. I call the 20, and then the river is another Jack, very scary card, and he makes it 40. I call 40, and I win. And he is not happy that I was in there with 2-5 offsuit. But you didn't ask me why I was in there. If you had, I would have explained to you that it cost me $3, and I was getting 7 or 8 to 1 on my money, so it was definitely worth it. About 15 minutes later, there's a guy that's itching to just go all in every hand, and I said, you might as well just go all in blind because that's what you're basically doing. And he looked at his hand, and he saw what it was, and then he goes all in, and he had 2-5 suited, and he had said to me, I'll go all in blind right now if you'll call me. And I said, no, I had King Jack suited on that hand. And I didn't call. Someone else called and beat him. I would have lost because I would have missed completely, and there was a 2 on the board, so I would have lost. If I had called him, the other guy wouldn't have called him, and he would have doubled up with my money. So, and then there was another hand. I was under the gun, so first to act, I have Ace of Hearts, King of Hearts, Ace, King, suited. And there are 6 people in the pot for $15. So I'm under the gun. I call the 3 because this table is so active. I know they're going to raise. So it goes under the gun +1, 15. Everybody pretty much is in for 15. So there's 6 people in. I make it 118 because I had 3 out there. I put 115 more. So it's 118. Everybody folds except one person. So I've got Ace, King suited. The flop is Ace, 4, King. So now the pot is about 300, 320, somewhere in there. I drop my bet to 105. It's a huge under bet. So he goes all in when I bet the 105. I call, and I end up winning. That was approximately a $700 hand. A few more other small things happened, but with poker I ended up ahead $330. So plus 330 there. And then I went back to slot machines, and I found the coach, and we started looking around again, and we ended up finding very little good stuff to play, and I was very frustrated. I was down as much as almost 1,000 at my low point, and it's time to leave. Basically, we're going to go to the room. It's like 2:30 in the morning. And we're looking, we see this lady, and she's playing a machine that's in very good position. We decide we're going to just wait for a minute and watch because she only has $20 in it. We don't know if she has any more money. So we start checking the machines next to her. There are 5 of them next to her. And my friend finds a almost borderline play, not a good play, but a borderline desperation play, you could say, for about $5.50 per spin. So I put my voucher in. It's like I'd bought in for a total of $1,100. I put my voucher in for $163, and it got rejected. I tried another machine, got rejected. Another one. Turns out their system is down, and it would take cash but not vouchers. So put a $100 bill in there, gone. Put another $100 bill in there, lose that. Put a third $100 bill in there, and I hit what I'm going for. And now it's just a matter of how much is it going to pay. And with the last minute desperate spin, actually paid off. And that spin ended up paying, got a picture of it here, $873, and I had about 100 in the machine, so I'd put a total of 300 in there, and I had a voucher for over 1,000, cashing it out, which added to my other voucher, puts me down $266 on the slots, which saves me because I was down 1,000. So I leave minus 266 on the slots and plus 300 and I put 330 here. It's actually 360 plus 360 on the poker. And that was a long day. We really thought that this casino was going to be the one that we wanted to spend a lot of time on. We were very disappointed because there were so many hustlers here, and we're not really sure how tomorrow's going to go. I don't know if I'll have the energy to go down in the middle of the night to check anything or not. Probably first thing in the morning, and then we'll decide what we're going to do with the day, but probably going to spend the day away from here most of the day. So that's what's going on right now. Give me a minute. I'll be right back. All right, guys, I am back. So I was looking at my steps for the day. So by the time I landed, which was afternoon here, by the time I landed, I only had about 500 steps in for the day because I was sitting on planes the whole day. And by midnight, I was at 14,900 steps. So about 15,000 steps yesterday. I think this thing will convert it for me to miles. So distance-wise, I walked 7 miles yesterday. And then so far today, like I said, it's about 2:30 in the morning. I already have 3,100 steps. So we'll have a lot of steps today as well. So anyway, it was a good day. I kind of needed to get away a little bit and change of scenery as far as the same casinos over and over again. And glad to be here. Tomorrow should be a good day. We know what to expect now. I think the rest of the casinos we're going to go to, for the most part, are ones that we know something about. So for now, I'm going to let you go. If you have any questions or comments, it's mwusa21@gmail.com, mwusa21@gmail.com. See you tomorrow.